Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions, and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair, and join the Trader Coffee Break.
Welcome to another episode of the Trader Coffee Break. Thanks for coming back again. Really filling up this channel now. Hope you're getting value. I'm Jason Graystone, one of your co-hosts.
I'm Akil Stokes. I'm the other guy. Appreciate you guys joining us each week.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And if you're getting value from these, don't forget to let us know in the comments. Hit the like button right now just to let us know that you're getting value from these videos. And we really enjoy doing them. It's a great way to get away from the charts for a bit. Rock up, same time every week, drink a coffee together, drink some water together, whatever you want to do, and just rant about trading. So join in the comments, join in the discussion that's going on here on the left-hand side, right-hand side.
Gosh, I don't know. Yeah. I'll tell you what's funny, Jason. Last week, remember I switched out the coffee for the water. And at the end of the session, people, a lot of comments saying I look like I fell asleep. That's what happens when you don't have your coffee, guys. You freeze up in the best moments. So. Yeah,
man. Yeah. Oh, last week that was so funny. It looked like you'd fallen asleep. Yeah. If you haven't seen that, go and check out the last 45 seconds of the last week.
Don't look at it. No, don't tell them that.
It's funny. Anyway, this week's a little bit of a segue from what we was talking about last week. We're kind of talking about trading for a living now, and we thought we'd talk about some of the things that you need to bear in mind when entering some of these kind of prop firm challenges, because they're very popular. There's companies like FTMO, and we're constantly getting asked about what we think about these types of companies. And we thought it would just be a good idea to talk about some of the things you want to bear in mind when you're going into these challenges, right, Akil?
Yeah, and I think it's first to start off by explaining that these prop firms or these challenges for you guys that are super new, these are basically companies that allow you access to trade their money. So that's what a prop firm is in general. So for example, if let's say tier one trading, if one day we decide to start a prop firm, what we would do is we would take traders from our platform, ideally, because we trust them. Obviously, we know how they trade. We know they've been taught the right way. And then we would give them access to trade our capital. And, basically the better they perform, the more access to more capital they have. And it's a way for you to be involved in trading and really make a living out of trading without having a lot of money yourself. I think it was a few episodes ago, we talked about how much money is actually needed to become a full-time trader. And for some of you guys, it's probably like, oh no. And it could be discouraging because you're like, how can I ever get my hands on that much money? Well, remember that trading is a skill, right? You can use this skill in many different ways. And one of those ways is using that skill to prove that, hey, you can be a successful trader. You can get access to money from others. You can trade that money. You can make commission off of it. You can do whatever you want with that money. You can spend it. You can keep it to grow your own account. But that's what a prop firm is. It's the ability for you to use your skill of trading and basically manage other people's money, but not on like a personal basis, more of the firm's money.
And we've had quite a few people go through these challenges and do very well, right? We tell the story of a few traders that came through this year. Cody's one of them, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Cody Stewart. We have one today. I just spoke to this morning. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chris. He's usually in the New York live. Yeah. He's getting ready to do a year-long one. He found one that gives him a lot of time, so he doesn't have to rush. He can feel quite comfortable, and I think he found two actually. He's kind of debating between where he's getting ready to do it and see if he can pass the challenge and start the next step in his journey, which is it's really cool to see. You guys don't. It's special. I don't. It's hard to explain unless you're doing it. But when we teach traders, we're not like money hungry coaches out there are just selling systems because we want to pat our own pockets. Like we generally care about success, and it's really cool to see traders that you've worked with, and a lot of them did a lot of dumb stuff, and it's a lot of kind of tough love, but when they get it and they become successful, it's like this is what it's about, and you get the chicken skin just thinking about it. So we love it, and not everyone passes. We have the war stories, the failure stories as well, but usually it's more good than bad when it comes to that level of stuff, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And I think like one thing I want to say before is, even if you're going to, a lot of people are kind of seeing these challenges as their way into trading, but you have to actually be a decent trader to go into it. Like it's not something that's going to get you to a result of being a great trader. It's something that you still need to be a good trader and then go into, and then you can use that to accelerate your account or split profits with a firm. But you have to actually understand how to trade. You have to demonstrate for the challenge. It's no good just getting in by luck. It's no good just like, because you'll come unstuck, right? And that's going to burn you down the road. So you do have, the people that are doing well in these challenges, they've spent 18 months to 2 years learning with tier one. They've learned how to trade. They've learned how to consistently be profitable so that they've got the confidence to go into one of these challenges. And I think there's a lot of people going into it as if it's like this like miraculous kind of apprenticeship where if you get lucky on the thing, they're going to just fund you with loads of money. But you got to understand, these people are risk managers. That's what they are, pure risk managers. Like, it's a business. They're trying to earn money. The only purpose of a prop firm is to trade and grow the firm's money. Like, it's one of the most selfish businesses there is. It's like, that is it. So you have to understand that. You have to be very aware of that. And you're not going to hide in the Trojan horse, like, and get through the door and then it's all going to be like roses. You have to actually be a decent trader. What's some of the things that you would advise traders to pay attention to before they consider one of these routes?
Well, I would say first and foremost, once you get to the point, it's you need to be comfortable before you even get to the point. I think you touched well on that. I remember so many conversations we've had with Mike Belfiore, where he says he's the owner of S&B Capital, one of the biggest prop firms in New York City. And he says one of the problems he has is just getting good traders into the flow, where he gets so many applicants that, again, see it as like, oh, I'm going to do this and make lots of money. And it's like, most of them just suck. And it's like, I can imagine from his end, how time consuming it is to kind of be like, nope, and handpick the very few. So you got to know what you're doing first. I think specifically when it comes to the challenge, know your challenge. Like, different prop firms, real life ones, brick and mortar, online ones, they're going to have different requirements for what you need. It could be different risk requirements where you have to stay above this level. I know I've heard of a few where, people aren't allowed, you can't hold a position over end of day. So you've got to make sure you close out all your positions before the end of the day, right? Each prop firm is, it's like you said, it's their money. They're going to have specific rules because they're managing risk. You need to be aware of those rules before you join the challenge to make sure that your trading style can fit with them, because you could be an awesome trader, Jason, and you can have a completely different style than what this prop firm is looking for. And based on their requirements, you may not be able to do what you initially planned on doing. And that can be the difference between failing and passing. So I think it's crucial to know that information.
Yeah, I think a lot of people weigh up the kind of split profits as well. Whereas if you're going for one of these kind of online only, as opposed to a bricks and mortar, like an actual trading desk, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons, because yes, you might have to go and exchange, like go and sit in a physical location, but you will be given, with many of these prop firms, really great technology, great infrastructure and support behind you, teams. You'll get, SMB work with Brett Steenberger, who's a trading psychologist. He's on their floor twice a week. They've got amazing infrastructure in terms of the technology, the technology they've developed to support the traders. They get the desk, they get all the equipment. So there's that, and weighing up the profit share with that, as opposed to just literally on your own, and then having to do all that for yourself and use your own technology and use your own gear and all that kind of stuff. So you have to weigh that up as well when you're thinking about, well, what's the better deal? But try and think longer term and weigh it up. What is the actual cost of having all of that technology and all of that support, as opposed to not, and then build that into your profits. That's one thing I would say. The other thing I would say is just be wary of the incentive, because a lot of the companies do incentivize that you firstly, you pay to enter, right? And then some of them will tell you that you've got to earn a certain amount of money in a set amount of time. Now, I personally think that goes against what you should be focused on as a trader. So it's almost like a false start. It's a real false entry. What are your thoughts on that, Akil?
I'm with you. That's the thing that, I mean, I learned about these online prop firms later. If I hated managing money for others, like on a personal basis, just because of the stress and whatnot. But
tell us that story, Akil.
Well, it was,
tell us that story.
So I didn't have a massive amount of money when I got good at trading, not enough to live full time off of, especially when things kind of became realistic. So, when I initially started, I thought like, I'm going to make 100% a month, all that fun stuff. And then you quickly realize like, okay, no. So I went on to think, how can I take this skill? Because I was really skilled at it. How can I turn it into a business? I had no intentions of coaching or teaching anything like that. So I said, hey, the best thing I could do is manage money. And long story short, a few of the best lessons I learned managing money was, one, you got to deal with a lot of no's, like so many no's, so depressing, so discouraging, but that's all it takes is one yes. Two is people with money care a lot more about how much of their money you don't lose versus how much you make. So when I would go in with all these presentations, and I have, I had the same money manager spreadsheet as we have now, where you can kind of change the numbers and make it look amazing. Go into these guys like, yeah, look at that. 100% return a year and all this stuff. Like I'm going to, blow their socks off, right? Or knock their socks off. And the question I kept getting asked was like, well, how much, what's the drawdown? And I'm like 30%. Cause, and for me personally, like at the time I was okay taking a 30% drawdown with my money, cause I didn't care. I just cared about the big return. But as soon as they would hear that number, they'd be like, no. So let's stay in the single digits, maybe like 10, 12 every once in a while, but any more than that, like we can't deal with it. So I had to completely switch my way of thinking to be like, wow, and they didn't really care about 100% return. They're fine just beating the S&P as long as you don't lose their money. So kind of focusing on risk management was a valuable lesson that I learned. And the experience when I'm actually trading money was tough, just because at the time I was younger, I was spineless. I heard so many no's, and I finally got my one big client. My one big client gave me about $250,000. And my mindset, although my mindset was I wanted to approach it the right way, risk manage, make 3% a month. I was doing that well. His mindset was more of like, can we make more? So can we make more? Can we make more? You're on a hot streak. Can we do more? He was also very opinionated, where he would watch the news, and I would say never manage money for someone that thinks they can trade. But he would watch news and be like, hey, I heard about the euro. You should sell it. I'm like, well, I'm buying it right now because of this and this.
So he's interfering.
Yeah, interfering. And psychologically that messed with you, because on one hand, I want to follow my rules, right? I want to trust my trading plan. On the other hand, I'm like, I don't want to piss off this client, because if he pulls his money away, like I'm back on the street, like doing nothing. I got these smaller accounts, but you can't live off that. So I kind of like tried to play the middle ground, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some of what he wants to make him happy, and then do some of what I want to do. And I don't have to tell you how that ended. It didn't end well. So we ended up calling off the relationship. The last straw for me was when he insisted on like tripling position size after a hot streak. And I did it. And what happens right after a hot streak, a cold streak, and ended up losing a lot of money. I think it was like 30,000 in like a week's time. And it was it was toxic, and I got out of it. So I always say, if I can rewind the hand of time, if I knew about it, I would probably take the prop firm route, because I didn't necessarily want to manage money for others, but I just didn't know any other way. That was the only thing I knew. So I think it's a very good route, but I think you got to be a good risk manager to be successful with it. You have to.
I think when you're consistently profitable, there really is that speaks for itself. People want good traders. Like the people want to put their money into good investments. And if you're essentially a good investment, if you can demonstrate that you are consistently making returns without big dips and big kind of volatile drawdowns, because people aren't comfortable losing more than 10% of anything, really. We're as humans, we don't like 10% fluctuations before our emotions start taking control. And that's the same with a win as well. Like if you only earn like £1,000 a week, say, and 1 week I said, look, I'm going to pay you £900 this week, you might feel a little bit uneasy, but you wouldn't be triggered that much, right? Whereas if I said I'm going to pay you 800, you'd probably lose your shirt. And it's the same the other way. Like if I said I'm going to pay you 1,100, you'd be, yeah, okay, that's a nice little bonus. If I said 1,200, you would be, you'd be a bit cocky, bars on me kind of thing. You'd be a bit more, and that's kind of how you go. And it works both ways. 10%, anything more than a 10% fluctuation either way, you're going to experience more emotional charge than anything under 10%. And I would say as an absolute max, you don't want to be doing 10%. Now the reason I brought that up is it goes back round to the point that I made just now, and the incentive to make money in a short period of time. Now I've heard some of them are asking as a requirement to make 10% in a month. Now that is to me, that is luck. Like you're going to have a lucky winning streak that just happens to be in a 30-day period. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make 10% in a month, because I've made 10% in a month before, but to do that consistently over time is very, very difficult. Probably, I would say, impossible for 95% of the retail traders that I've ever met to do 10% per month consistently. I've never known anyone to do 10% per month personally. But I'm not saying it's impossible, but if you're incentivized to make 10% to qualify in the first month, then you've really got to get lucky. Like you've got to have that come in that first month when you've taken the challenge. And for me, that just doesn't sit right. That for me personally is something about that I just don't like.
No, I'm with you. It always seemed weird to me, because I'm with you. Like, I've done 10% months, but I can't call a 10% month. Would I come and expect every 10% month to happen? Like, no, like you may get a hot month where it happens, but how do I know this is going to be the month where it's going to happen?
Exactly.
You don't. And
unless you're producing pressure. It adds more pressure, and that's not what you want. Like that's not what you want.
It makes you do dumb things. And I remember this story. My mentor, your mentor as well, Jason Stapleton. I first learned about him in FX Trader magazine, and this is how I first got introduced into kind of mentorship and kind of understanding I needed one. Where I read a story. He placed, I think, second or third place in this challenge where he made I forgot how much percent in a month worth of time, some ridiculous amount. And
it's a Varren Gold challenge. Yeah.
And I'm reading it, and I'm expecting like the same cocky stuff you hear from everyone, like, oh yeah, no biggie, this is what I do every day. But at the end of the paragraph, he said, like, I would never do this with live money. And he's like, because the risk I needed to take and the aggressiveness in which I needed to trade in order to produce this return is not realistic. And that's what really hit me at home, because you don't hear people saying that. And like you said, if you have this quota, right? This is why I don't believe in trading quotas, at least on a short-term basis to begin with. If you have this quota, you're going to do what's needed to achieve it. Like you look at car salesmen. If car salesmen or police officers, for example, they have a quota for how many tickets they have to write, we always make fun. We say, hey, last day of the month, be careful, because they're out there trying to get their quota. Car salesmen at the end of the month, they're out there they're being very more pushy, more aggressive with sales, because they have to hit a certain mark. And you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it with actual money at risk. And I think all it does is develop bad habits. And if you pass it, now you're over cocky and you think you can do this like every time, even though you just got lucky, as you mentioned. And if you miss it, maybe you get discouraged, like, hey, I'm not good enough because I didn't meet this challenge that has this ridiculous requirement. So yeah, it's tough. I guess part of me, like, I don't know. Why do you think? I'm sure there are some really scammy ones out there that are just like, hey, we just want whatever fee you pay to take the challenge. But the legit ones, why do you think why do you think these numbers are so high? Is it to scare people away? Is it just to take your money? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's a little bit of both, because one, it does filter out a lot of people. But two, it's a win-win situation. What a great product for a business to start with. I mean, right. It's like let's just say some of them are charging like $1,000 to enter, right? So get 1,000 of them, that's $1 million. Knowing full well that a tiny percentage of traders are going to get through, even less with the added pressure that you've got to do a 10% in a month, which probably, I don't know, halves the best traders that could possibly get in the first place. So let's just say it's 2% that get through. Then they've only got to fund those traders with like 10 grand or 10, 20 grand, because they don't fund you straight away. Then you go through another process, and then they build up slowly and slowly and slowly. And for me, that's just like a win-win. You know, that the numbers
are the perfect
really
business
stacked.
model.
Yeah. It's
between that and a broker who wins whether you lose or win.
Exactly. Wow. And I see it more macro, and I think we've seen the whole Forex industry or the trading industry. We saw a lot of educators selling 2-day programs, right? And they were having it off for 10 years, 15 years, selling these 2-day courses to everyone. And no one really knew what trading was. People were interested in it. They went in, they thought they could learn it in 2.5 days, and it's in and out the door. You never get another, they never come back. It's a complete churn of clients. And then obviously people cotton on to that. People, right, they get Bill clued up. There's more information available online. More people are working remotely. So it's like this business model just shifted a little bit to, well, how can we bring people in and sell them a shiny object, but still stack it massively in our favor and have minimal risk on the table, and, and people are going to want to buy it. Well, what an amazing idea. Enter the realm of challenges. And it's like, it's the same thing, but just in a different format for me. And I think it's great if you can crack it. I think poker's great in the casino if you can consistently play your edge, but most people can't. And I just want to make everyone aware that you can definitely win at this game, and you can definitely go and do well with one of these prop firms, but they are against you from day one. Just have that in mind, and then you have to prove yourself. So it goes back to the point at the beginning. You have to be a good trader to enter these. It's not going to be the thing that gets you out into the world of trading. It won't. You have to be good. I think that makes sense. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I don't think I ever told you this story. I did an interview with, I forgot the guy's name, but I did an interview for a podcast, and then he brought me back. He had this YouTube thing going on. I think it's Cameron something, where he did like a trader challenge where like we'd go on TradingView, you had to like close your eyes and you do like market replay, and you had to like, there was this ranking system of like, you had to outperform the different people he was interviewing in this whole challenge thing. And I never do any of these challenges because I think they're stupid. But I don't know why I said yes to this one. And it was probably during the summer and I was bored or something. And I did this challenge. I think you get 5 trades, and it's like, here's this trader Falcon is on top with this much percent return. So I'm going into it like, okay, like, well, there's no point in like aiming to be in the middle. Like, let's go for number one.
Let's get it. Yeah.
And the trades I took in that challenge, I bombed. I think I got 1 out of 5 right. The trades I took, right, I went back and reviewed them because I felt kind of bad. I'm like, none of these trades were things I would have taken in real life. Yeah. They were all super aggressive. The risk rewards were crazy. And I remember walking through them, and I'm like, man, like I would normally shoot for here, but I've got to meet 20%. And every time I lost, right, I went into the negatives. So now that 20% had to become 40%. So I'm looking at bigger moves, and like the moves are playing out okay, but not to the level that I'm shooting for. And it just sabotaged my entire trading. Yeah. And I thought about it afterwards. Like it's just, fun and games, but I thought about it afterwards. Because I'm like, man, like people are actually out here doing it. Like people that are taking these challenges or that are unprepared, they're actually feeling this pressure to go over and above what's actually available in the market, simply because they want to hit this, not an imaginary mark, but this unrealistic
something
mark
that someone's just plucked out of the air, right?
Yeah, and it's a no-win situation, and we say it all the time. Like traders in general, I don't think have an issue finding good trading opportunities. There was a report I read years ago. I think it was they took data from FXCM, and they saw that most traders actually win more than they lose. the problem is like, they don't know where to take targets. They don't know where to put stops, and then keeping targets there, moving stops. Like those are the problems. And when you have stuff like this that tells you need to get 10%, you need to get that.
Yeah.
All it's doing is putting more pressure on doing the stuff that's killing traders in the first place. So it's ridiculous. But if that's the route you want to take, I mean, I guess you got to like Cody did it. He had a tough margin. He was able to nail it. And I remember it was funny, after he passed the challenge, the requirements became a lot less. Yeah. It was like, hey, if you just average 3% a month, you're good. He's like, what? Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah. So look, I think what I want to end on saying is, look, if you guys have had any good experience with these companies and you know of any good business models, please let us know in the comments. Like we're definitely up for learning more about this. And if you've had an experience one-on-one, or you've had a direct experience with one of these companies, let us know. Let us know if you're interested in hearing about other companies. Perhaps we'll get on someone as a guest to talk about the business model. Happy to do that. Reach out to FTMO or anyone, and we'll get them on the break. We'll get them on the coffee break. Second of all, I would love to do like, I would love to do a challenge, but flip it on its head. I'd like to do a challenge aimed at raising the awareness towards the difficulty in trading and how it's professional. And now I just might like to make a big fun and game out of it, like a real gamified tournament where we have like commentators and like and you have to like trade on lower time frames with not real money, but like you get like a 30-minute slot and you have commentators on, and we get Mike Bellafiore on and we could talk. I think that would be really fun. I don't know what that would look like, but I think that would be really, really cool.
You know, in my head, I don't know if you probably didn't watch that. We just watched this Netflix series called Squid Game. Right. Me and my wife, we've been doing this thing where it's like, you know, we still got young kids. So like, it's, you know, it's hard to find together time. So we took a note from you where it's like, we schedule out like, hey, this is our time. Like we got 2 hours a night. And one of the things we do, we watch TV and talk and whatever like that and catch up. We watch this thing called Squid Game where they're playing like games and there's whatever. But when you lose, you die. So maybe I'm in my head when you're saying that, I'm like, okay, trading challenge. If you win, you make money. If you lose, you die. Yeah. Were you going that route, or is that a little bit too sick?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I was thinking like I'm thinking now like the Trader Coliseum, have posters of like people with their shirt ripped off and stuff like that.
Graystone versus Daddy.
That would be cool. And then the winner could like battle me or Akil, or we just have like an ultimate final. That would be cool. Let us know if you're interested in that. That's,
as long as our shirts get to be off, I'm fine with that. We both been in the gym, so.
Well, I just want to say thanks for Akil for staying awake this week. And guys, if you want to talk about anything else during the coffee break, it's your break as well. So let us know. Fire in the topics, as many as you can think of, and we'll take them on board for coming episodes. And until then, remember, do less, have a think about it, to do more, take a step back to take 10 steps forward, and we'll see you next week. Good luck in the markets this week, and we'll see you then. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media, and remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.